Chandi chanters. We have a group named Chandi chanters. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah.
Jatraha Sthirairangai Sushtuvagam Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitayadayuhu Swastina Indro Viddashravaha Swastina Pusha Vishvavedaha Swastina Starsho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Om Namaskandikaye Brahmakritale Stuti Tvam swaha tvam svadha tvam hi vashatkara swaratmika sudha tvam akshare nitye tridha matratmika stita ardhamatra stita nitya yanucharya Visheshataha Tvameva sa Tvam Savitri Tvam Deva Janani Para Tvayetat Dharyate Vishwan Tvayetat Srijate Jagat Tvayetat Palyate Devi Tvamasyante Sarvada Visrishto Srishti Rupa Tvam Siti Rupa Chapalane Tatha Samriti Rupante Jagatosya Jaganmaye Mahavidya Mahamaya Mahamedha Mahasmriti Mahamoha cha bhavati Mahadevi Mahasuri Prakritistvam cha sarvasya Gunatraya vibhavini Kalaratrir Maharatrir Moharatri Shadaruna Tvam Shri Tvam Ishvari Tvam Hris Tvam Buddhir Bodhalakshana Lajja Pushtis Tatatushtis Tvam Shanti Shanti Revacha Gargini Shulini Gora Gadini Chakrini Tatha Shankini Chapini Vana Bhushundi Karigayudha Somya Somya Tarashesha Somye Vyasvati Sundari Para Paranam Parama Tvameva Parameshwari Yacha Kinchit Kvachit Vastu Sada Sarva Kilatmike tasya sarvasya ya shaktihi sarvam kim stuyase maya yaya tvaya jagat srashta jagat pratatiyo jagat sopi nidra vashanita kasvam stotumiheshvara Vishnu sharira grahanam ahamishana evacha karitaste yato tasvam kastotum shaktiman bhavet satvanitam prabhavaisvair udarai devi samstuta mohayaito duradarsho asuro madhukaitavo prabodham cha jagat swami niyatam achyuto lagu bodhascha kriyatamasya hantumeto mahasuro bodhascha kriyatamasya hantumeto mahasuro.
Translations. Shanti Mantra. Om, O gods, may we hear auspicious words with the ears while engaged in yajnas. May we see auspicious things with the eyes while praising the gods with steady limbs. May we enjoy a life that is beneficial to the gods. May Indra of ancient fame be auspicious to us. May the supremely rich Pusha be propitious to us. May Garuda, the destroyer of evil, be well disposed toward us. May Brihaspati ensure our welfare. Om, peace, peace, peace. A hymn from the Chandi. Brahma said, "You are Swaha and Swadha, the mantras of consecration to the gods and the ancestors. At your bidding they are uttered, and they are your very embodiment. You are the nectar of immortality, O imperishable, eternal one. Truly you abide as the transcendent being, yet in every moment you abide inseparable and inexpressible as the eternal source of all becoming. Indeed, you are that. You are Savitri, the source of all purity and protection. You are the supreme mother of the gods. By you is the universe supported. Of you is the world born. By you is it protected, O Devi, and you always consume it at the end. You are the creative force and the world's birth and its sustenance for as long as it endures. So even at the end of the world, you appear at its dissolution. You who encompass it all. You are the great knowledge and the great illusion, the great intelligence, the great memory, and the great delusion, the great Devi and the great Asuri. You are primordial matter, differentiating into the threefold qualities of everything. You are the dark night of periodic dissolution, the great night of final dissolution, and the terrifying night of delusion. You are the radiant splendor. You reign supreme, yet are unassuming. You are the light of understanding. Modesty are you, and prosperity, contentment, tranquility, and forbearance. Armed with a sword and spear, and with club and discus, waging war with conch, bow, and arrows, sling and iron mace, you inspire dread. Yet you are pleasing, more pleasing than all else that is pleasing, and exceedingly beautiful. Transcending both highest and lowest, you are indeed the supreme sovereign. Whatever exists, true or untrue, and whatever it may be, O soul of everything, you are the power of all that. How can I praise you? By you, even he who creates, protects, and devours the world is subdued with sleep. Who here can praise you? You have caused even Vishnu, Shiva, and me to assume our embodied forms. Who then can truly praise you? Thus extolled, O Devi, May you, with your exalted powers, confound those unassailable asuras, Madhu and Kaitaba. Let Vishnu, the Lord of the world, be quickly awakened from his slumber and be roused to slay the great asuras. Yeah.
All right, let's give him a hand. Our chanting team. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupini avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Labor Day. Welcome to this very special afternoon. Thank you for sharing this afternoon with us. 5 times a year, we flip the script here, and we welcome devotees to share their insights, their knowledge, their art, their feelings, their meditations with all of us. And so first up will be our very own Brahmachari Shivamaya. I asked him to compose his own song. He's a very talented musician. And so please join me in welcoming Brahmachari Shivamaya up to the stage. The song is called When I Call Your Name.
When I call your name, you take away the heartache and the pain. Tears stream down my face, reminds me of my mother's warm embrace. Open up my heart, please don't drift apart. Oh, hear my prayers. Troubles, they may come, with your name upon my tongue, I have no cares. Will you always come to me? Will you always set me free? And will you always be the same? Will you tend that living flame? Think back on my life, all the turmoil and the strife, till I found you. But now the path is clear, the roads that led me here, what could I do? When daylight turns to night, will your love light still shine bright and lead the way? Won't you ease my aching mind? In my heart enshrined, I hope and pray. When my final day shall come, with your name etched on my tongue, till I am left with empty lungs, move my lips, thy will be done. When I call your name, you take away the heartache and the pain.
What a way to start off the program. Thank you, Brahmachari Shivamaya. So, we now have 9 devotees, fully 9 devotees, who are going to give approximately 5-minute speeches on different aspects of the life and or teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, topics of their own choice, and interspersed every few speeches, we're going to throw in some songs here and there, just to keep things interesting. But the speeches themselves will be interesting, but all right, so please join me first in welcoming Ellis. He's going to be speaking on Sri Ramakrishna's advice to an actor. He's an actor himself, so he can speak from experience.
Pranam Swamijis. Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon, rather. Yeah. So today I'll talk about one of my favorite chapters from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Advice to an Actor, that was recorded on May 24th, 1884. Now, those of you that know me are probably thinking that's just his favorite chapter because he is an actor. And you're halfway right. That is definitely what initially attracted me when I saw the heading. I mean, it's pretty cool to see Sri Ramakrishna speaking directly to someone that you assume is at least a little bit like you. I like to imagine that I am this unnamed actor sitting at his feet and imbibing his energy and his wisdom. But also when you read that chapter, you're really transported to that day. You can feel the atmosphere. There's this relaxed yet elevated energy, and there's such a wealth of spiritual talk that applies to all of us here. This chapter is like a practical mini manual for spiritual life. And there's much more depth than I can cover or begin to touch in this short time, but the main theme of their conversation isn't about acting, it's about fixing your mind on God. Before that, though, the first thing that Sri Ramakrishna says to the actor is something that I think will be a great boon, a great encouragement to any fellow artists here. He says, if a person excels in singing, music, dancing, or any other art, he can also quickly realize God, provided he strives sincerely. What a wonderful thing to hear. And I know the emphasis is on provided he strives sincerely, but I always get hung up on the if a person excels in part, because that implies you actually have to be kind of good at whatever art you pursue. So I'm not 100% sure about my status there. But all jokes aside, after those encouraging words, the actor asks a question about lust and desire. And Sri Ramakrishna gives what I think is one of his most practical teachings about how to deal with our everyday urges, emotions, and idiosyncrasies. He says, one cannot completely get rid of the 6 passions, lust, anger, greed, and the like. Therefore, one should direct them to God. If you must have desire and greed, then you should desire love of God and be greedy to attain him. This teaching is the opposite of the repression that many of us have been taught in the past. It's about transmuting that power and that energy that's behind lust and greed and egoism, etc., and using it in a way that helps lead us to unity with the divine. A process that isn't as simple as it sounds, but maybe the simplest way to deal with some of the major stumbling blocks on the spiritual path. Later on, Sri Ramakrishna talks about how one is supposed to live in the world and keep their mind focused on God by giving one of my favorite of his metaphors. He talks about how he used to see women in his village make flattened rice with a husking machine. Now, it's kind of hard to fully imagine this machine if you haven't seen it before. And I've searched for it a few times on YouTube, but the other day I actually found one. It basically looks like a seesaw. And so somebody will step on one side of it to make it go up, and there's a pestle attached to the top of it, and it will fall into a hole. And after a while, it kind of gets a rhythm, going into the hole and smashing the rice paddy that's in there. So the way that Sri Ramakrishna describes it is like this. One woman kicks the end of the wooden beam, and another woman, while nursing her baby, turns the paddy in the mortar dug in the earth. The second woman is always alert lest the pestle of the machine should fall on her hand. With her other hand, she fries the soaked paddy in a pan, and besides, she is talking to the customers. She says, "You owe us so much money, please pay it before you go." Likewise, do your different duties in the world, fixing your mind on God. Now, to me, this describes life pretty accurately. This woman is turning rice, cooking, talking to customers, and nursing a baby. Maybe the baby's in a sling. But talk about being pulled in multiple directions. But the beautiful part is that she always maintains that subtle awareness that I better make sure that my hand doesn't get smashed by that pestle. And for us, that mirrors the awareness that we should cultivate, thinking of God in the midst of our daily activities. And another way to look at it is for us to be constantly careful of that we don't get crushed or overpowered by our lower nature because of the obstacles inherent in some of our worldly duties. But she's able to do it effortlessly because of a long time of practice. And for us, that's sadhana. She's done it so long that she can feel the rhythm, and it's second nature. And I don't know about you, but that effortless connection, state of being connected to God in every moment, that's what I'm striving for. So finally, after more great advice about the necessity of both practicing sadhana and surrendering to God's grace, about being careful what you allow your mind to focus on, so think social media, and about the importance of holy company and more, Sri Ramakrishna wraps it all up beautifully for the actor. He says, keep your mind on God. Don't forget him. God will certainly reveal himself to you if you pray to him with sincerity. So as you can see, like most of the gospel, this simple moment in time with the great master resonates with insight and wisdom for all of us timelessly, actors and non-actors alike. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellis, for a beautiful talk on how we can keep our minds on God, even in the midst of our daily activities, our struggles, how to turn our emotions and anxieties toward God and spiritualize every moment of our lives. Next up is Binduma. She'll be speaking on the topic, Does God Listen to Our Prayers? Sri Ramakrishna's Insights. Please join me in welcoming Bindu.
Pranams to everybody. In June of 1884, the Sanskrit scholar Pandit Sashadhar visited Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar. He asked the master a timeless question: does God really listen to our prayers? Sri Ramakrishna replied, God is the kalpatru, the wish-fulfilling tree. You will certainly get whatever you ask of him, but you must pray standing near the kalpatru and remember that God knows our innermost feeling. As one thinks, so one receives. In other words, prayer is not empty words. It is the soul's inner cry that shapes what we receive from the divine. A year and a half later, on January 1st, 1886, Sri Ramakrishna revealed this truth in a most extraordinary way. Though gravely ill, he stepped into the garden of Kasipo, where many disciples were gathered. One devotee, Ramchandra Datta, bowed down and begged for his blessing. At once, Sri Ramakrishna entered a state of samadhi, divine ecstasy. His face glowed, his body shone, and in that exalted mood he declared, "What more shall I say? May you all be illumined." As he touched or blessed those around him, many experienced visions, ecstasy, and profound spiritual awakening on the spot. The disciples felt that day that Sri Ramakrishna himself had become a living Kalpatru tree, granting not worldly gifts, but the deepest yearnings of the heart. Since then, January 1st has been remembered as Kalpatru Day, when the Master revealed God's infinite responsiveness to prayer. On another occasion, when asked the same question, Sri Ramakrishna gave a simpler answer. Why should he not listen? He is full of compassion. If you cry to him sincerely, he must listen. When a child cries, can the mother resist? She runs to the child, leaving all else aside. This is the mystery of prayer. Not polished phrases, but the cry of the heart. Just as a child weeps for its mother, so must we weep for God. That is why Sri Ramakrishna said, God is like the Kalpatru tree. If you ask for wealth, you receive wealth. If you ask for wisdom, you receive wisdom. If you ask for love of God, you receive eternal bliss. So the question is never whether God listens. He always does. But what do we pray for? Sri Ramakrishna urged us, ask not for worldly things, ask for devotion, ask for love of God, and you will receive everything else as well. This teaching resonates far beyond Hinduism. Across faiths, we find the same assurance. In Christianity, Jesus said, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find, in Matthew. In Islam, the Quran declares, when my servants ask about me, I am near. I answer the call of the supplicant when he calls upon me. In Judaism, the Psalms proclaim, the righteous cry out and the Lord hears them. Prayer is the service of the heart and God attends to it. In Sikhism, the Guru Granth Sahib says, the Lord hears the prayers of the humble and cures their suffering. In Buddhism, while it does not speak of a creator God, prayer and chanting connect seekers with enlightened beings who are believed to respond to sincere calls for help. What unites all these voices is the conviction that prayer is never wasted. God, or the divine reality, listens and responds, though sometimes in ways beyond our comprehension. Sri Ramakrishna's Kalpatru image gives us one more insight. Be wise in what we ask. If we sit beneath the wish-fulfilling tree and ask only for shadows, we may get them, but they cannot satisfy us. If instead we pray for love of God, for purity of heart, and for the light of truth, we receive everything. If we pray as a child cries for its mother, with faith, with tears, with longing, then God, the eternal Kalpatru, will surely answer, showering us with blessings that lead us to peace, love, and liberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindu, for that wonderful speech on the real essence of prayer. I love the phrase that prayer is not about polished phrases, but the cry of the heart. It's beautiful. Thank you. Next up is Kaushik Ji. He will be speaking on 2 freeways to the infinite reality of Sri Ramakrishna. Please join me in welcoming Kaushik.
Good afternoon, everyone. My pranams to Maharajas and my fellow devotees. The topic of my today's discussion is the two freeways to infinite reality of Ramakrishna, Sufism and Christianity. This would be my small offering to Thakur to support his most profound proclamation that there are infinite paths to infinite reality. Or in Thakur's own word, Joto Mot, Toto Pot. The path number one, or the freeway number one of Christianity. This is about Sri Ramakrishna's vision of Christ. In the year 1874, Thakur felt a great urge to learn about the truth of Christianity. He began listening to the readings from Bible by Shambhucharan Mullik, one of his householder devotees. And as things would happen, not coincidentally, Thakur visited the garden house of Jodunath Mullik, very adjacent to the Kali temple. As he entered the parlor, there were many beautiful pictures hanging from the wall, and one of them was that of Madonna with her child Jesus. Thakur was engrossed looking into the picture, fixated, when the picture came alive to him. The effulgent rays from the picture touched his heart. What followed after that is for many days, 3 days, he was engrossed with the thought of Jesus Christ. He forgot the love of devotion, that of his Ishta, of his gods and goddesses that he preached every day. Instead, he started seeing Christian padres waving incenses and lights to the statue of Jesus Christ in the church. He ran to Kali Mother and said, "Ma, take this obsession away." But the obsession will continue for more days. Thakur continued to practice Christianity, preaching the teachings of Jesus Christ for 3 days. At the end of the 3rd day, when he was strolling in the evening near Panchavati, he saw a marvelous God-man with very fair complexion, but with a flat nose, approaching Thakur, and the God-man embraced Thakur and merged with the Thakur. Thakur cried. He said, Jesus the Christ, the great yogi, the loving Son of God, one with the Father who gave his heart's blood and put up with endless torture in order to deliver men from sorrow and misery. This started ringing off this tone over and over again in his heart. You can say he had attained complete realization of Christianity then. Now I'll switch over to the second freeway, as I say. It's the realization of Ramakrishna of Sufism. In 1866, Govinda Rai arrived in Dakshineshwar and settled down under the cool, cozy tree Panchavati for his sadhana of Islam. Govinda was Hindu by birth, but was attracted to the liberal ideas of Islam and was initiated into Sufism. And Thakur, being Thakur, was very curious about this man under the Panchavati, and he started, inquiring about who is he, and took keen interest in his teaching. And as you would guess, Govinda, whose other name was Wajid Ali, became Ramakrishna's Sufi Murshid, his Sufi teacher who initiated Thakur in Sufism. At that time, we would see that Thakur repeated the name of Allah repeatedly, dressed as an Arab man. He offered namaz 5 times a day and ate food like Muslims would partake. After passing 3 days in the intense sadhana of Allah, as the light of lights, he fully realized the goal in the form of devotion. At the end of the 3 days, he had a vision. He saw that a radiant person with long flowing beard distributing rice to all the devotees in the Kali temple from the same rice bowl. And afterwards, the person merged with his body. And as you would guess, it was Muhammad. So he felt as a union of the Brahman without any attributes at that point. Now here I would like to draw some parallels between the Vedanta and Sufism, which would draw Thakur towards Sufism. I would like to quote a couple of couplets from Rumi's Masnavi. As you know, Rumi was a 13th century mystic, Sufi mystic from Persia. The first one is, "'Tis God's light that illumines the senses' light. That is the meaning of light of lights." Second, "Arise, O sun, burst thy bonds and be free. How long wilt thou be captive to silver and gold?" Doesn't it sound uncanny resemblance between our Vedanta and the Sufism, which attracted Thakur towards Sufism? Well, I'll conclude with Vivekananda's word on the convergence of various paths to God realization. First one, in all religions, the superconscious state is identical. Hindu, Christians, Mohammedans, Buddhists, and even those with no creed, all have the same experience when they transcend the body. The second, as the different streams having their sources in different places all mingle their water in the sea, so, O Lord, the different paths which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee. And to conclude, the two freeways that I mentioned in my discussion, Sufism and Christianity, they are not two parallel paths hitting two different truths, but they are congruent paths to converge to the same infinite reality. As Rig Veda would teach us, Ekam Sat, Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, that is, truth is one, and wise call it by many names. Namaskar.
Thank you, Kaushik, for that speech on Swamiji, on Sri Ramakrishna's teachings on the harmony of religions, and specifically focusing on his non-Hindu practices, which is quite illuminating. Next up is going to be Kaushiki. So there's Kaushik, now Kaushiki. She is going to be speaking on a wonderful topic, Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. Please join me in welcoming Kaushiki.
Thank you, Maharaj. My pranam to Mataji's and the Swamiji's present here, and my pranams to all the devotees who are sitting over here. So let's take a trip to Dakshineshwar. Yesterday was Sri Radha Ashtami, and our story starts right on the veranda of the Radhakanta temple. Sri Ramakrishna is sitting there listening to the recitation of the Bhagavata, and he falls into a divine mood. He sees an enchanting form of Krishna, rays of light emanating from Krishna's body, especially from Krishna's lotus feet. And these rays of light take a form of a stout rope. It goes and touches the scripture, the Bhagavata, and then it enters the heart of Sri Ramakrishna. This vision, as Sri Ramakrishna describes later on, he says, after this vision, I came to realize that Bhagavan, Bhakta, and Bhagavata, God, devotee, and the scripture are in reality one and the same. He also described the meaning in a more elaborate form to Keshav Sen later on. He said, it is God who manifests himself in one aspect as the scriptures. Therefore, one should worship the sacred books such as the Vedas, the Puranas, and the Tantras. In another aspect, he has become the devotee. The heart of devotee is God's drawing room. One can easily find one's master in the drawing room. Therefore, by worshipping his devotee, one worship God himself. Now, the significance of these holy words is very profound. I recently was amazed to see the instances in which they appear is very remarkable. In fact, that's what caught my attention on these three holy words. On Sunday, April 15th, 1883, Sri Ramakrishna was at Surendra's house. It's a beloved lay disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and he's hosting in his house an auspicious puja of Sri Annapurna Devi. There's a kirtan that is happening in the evening hours, and the musicians are singing about the union of Radha and Krishna. So I'll recite this entire song to you because it's close to my heart. Radha and Krishna are joined at last in the Nidhu grove of Vrindavan. Incomparable their beauty and limitless their love. The one half shines like a yellow gold, and the other like the bluest sapphire. Round the neck on one side, a wildflower garland hangs, and on the other there swings a necklace of precious gems. A ring of gold adorns one ear, a ring of shell the other. Half of the brow is bright as the blazing midday sun, the other softly gleams with the glow of the rising moon. Upon one half of the head, a graceful peacock feather stands, and from the other half there hangs a braid of hair. As the music came to a close, the master said, and at this point in my reading, I thought he's just gonna go into samadhi. He'll become speechless. I was expecting that. And when I read the words the master said, I was waiting in anticipation. Oh, what is he going to say? Is it going to be Jayama, Divine Mother, Mahakali? No, he says, Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. And he bowed low to all the devotees seated on all sides. So this caught my attention. I was like, oh, wow. If in listening to a poem about the union of Radha and Krishna puts these three words in the mouth of Sri Ramakrishna, they have got to be really profound. Then I started looking for the patterns. In fact, I found this repeated itself in many instances. It was the same pattern. At the close of a kirtan, as the music came to an end, Sri Ramakrishna would say these holy words, or they would be preceded by holy names. So holy names followed by Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan, and then he would bow down to all the devotees seated on all sides. And in some instances, he would even take the dust of the holy place where the kirtan had been sung and put it to his forehead. So that gave me some insight on how I could put these words into practice. I could use them as a chant. So in the fashion of Sri Ramakrishna, he would go to his room, and in an instance, a number of holy pictures hung on the walls of his room. He was looking at the picture of Dhruva, Prahalada, Kali, Radha Krishna, and the coronation of Rama. He's bowing down at all the pictures and repeating the holy names. Then he repeated the holy words, Brahma, Atma, Bhagavan, Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan, Brahma Shakti, Shakti Brahma, Ved, Purana, Tantra, Gita, Gayatri. So these are the holy words that Sri Ramakrishna has spoken together. And then he said, I've taken refuge at thy feet, O Divine Mother. Not I, but thou. I am the machine, and thou art the operator, and so on. So he's following the holy names, holy words, and then the holy phrases. This is being used as chanting at many places in the gospel. Another way to put it in practice, at the close of a kirtan, if you're really overjoyed with emotions and you just want to scream your hearts out, you can say Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. That's a beautiful way to speak these holy words at the close of a kirtan. And Sri Ramakrishna also, when he went into samadhi, after coming back into the plane of normal consciousness, from the chapter Advice to an Actor, he mentions Om Satchidananda, Govinda, 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 Yogamaya, Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. Now, I was also inspired by Swami Premananda's interpretation of these three holy words. When Swami Premananda, who is considered to be a partial incarnation of Sri Radha herself, when he was really sick and he was admitted to a hospital in Devghar, he used to send one of his caretakers to the station every day at 11 a.m. to take care of the visiting devotees and arrange for their food and stay when Swami Shivananda visited Swami Premananda, he jokingly told him, like, you have opened a hotel over here as well. Swami Premananda, in reply, he mentioned, brother, as long as I live, my hotel will go with me. I see that the master brings food, he eats, he feeds. I see that the devotees, God, and the Bhagavata are the same. It's been taken by from the book God Lived With Them by Swami Chaitnanandji Maharaj. So seeing these instances and the stories, I also would like to connect Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan to this day in particular. We started today by reading with the readings of Gospel, and now we are reflecting, all the devotees are here, we are singing kirtans, we are reflecting on Sri Ramakrishna, and we'll end the day with Bhagavan, the Aarti of Bhagavan. So this day to me represents Bhagavata, the Gospel, Bhakta, we all of us here, and Bhagavan, the Aarti that we'll do it in the evening today. And I'll keep this memory in my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kaushiki, for that wonderful deep dive into this wonderful mantra, Maha Mantra, that Sri Ramakrishna created. I mean, he invented mantras. This seems to be one of them on the basis of his own ecstatic spiritual experience, Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. So for a bit of a change of pace, we are now going to welcome Shuprabha Ma. She is going to sing for us a Bengali song about Sri Ramakrishna, Esheche Nuton Manush. So I'm going to read the English translation of it first, and then we're going to welcome her to the stage. The new man has come. You will see if you just come along. The new man has come. You will see if you just come along. His pouch of discrimination and renunciation hangs always on both his shoulders. His pouch of discrimination and renunciation hangs always on both his shoulders. The new man has come. You will see if you just come along. On his holy face, the words mother, mother are read, just as in the waters of the Ganga. He says, O Brahmamayi, mother, the days have passed, but you have not granted me your vision. The new man has come. You will see if you just come along. To atheists and the ignorant, he taught in simple words, Kali and Krishna are the same. Names may differ, but the root is one. The new man has come. You will see if you just come along. Aqua, water, Pani, body, different names for the same water. So too, Allah, God, Isha, Musha, Kali, the differences are only in names. Musha here means Moses. The new man has come. You will see if you just come along. Poor or rich, proud or learned, he makes no judgment of caste or clan. The self-forgetful, the mad with longing, he draws them close with simplicity. The new man has come. You will see if you just come along. With both arms raised, he calls, come, all of you, come along. For your sake I sit, bestowing grace. With care I have moored the ferry boat of liberation on the shore of this world. The new man has come. You will see if you just come along. Please join me in welcoming Suprabhama.
Pranam Maharaj. So this song was written by a lay disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Devendranath Mazumdar. So I'll sing it now. এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি হায় চলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে তার বিবেক বৈরাগ্য জ্বলে দুই কাঁধে সদাই জ্বলে তার বিবেক বৈরাগ্য জ্বলে দুই কাঁধে সদাই জ্বলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে শ্রীবদনে মামা বাণী পড়ি গঙ্গা সলিলে শ্রীবদনে মামা বাণী পড়ি গঙ্গা সলিলে বলে ব্রহ্মময়ী গেল মা দিন দেখা তো নাহি দিলে বলে ব্রহ্মময়ী গেল মা দিন দেখা তো নাহি দিলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে নাস্তিক ও অজ্ঞানী নরে সরল কথায় শিখালে যেই কালী সেই কৃষ্ণ নামে ভেদ এক মূলে যেই কালী সেই কৃষ্ণ নামে ভেদ এক মূলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে অ্যাকোয়া ওয়াটার পানি বাড়ি নাম দেয় জলে অ্যাকোয়া ওয়াটার পানি বাড়ি নাম দেয় জলে আল্লাহ গড ঈসা মুসা কালী নাম ভেদ বলে আল্লাহ গড ঈসা মুসা কালী নাম ভেদ বলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে দিন ধনী মানি জ্ঞানী বিচার নাই জাতিকুলে আপন হারা পাগল পারা সরলে নেহারিলে আপন হারা পাগল পারা সরলে নেহারিলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে দু বাহু তুলিয়া ডাকে আয় রে তোরা আয় চলে দু বাহু তুলিয়া ডাকে আয় রে তোরা আয় চলে তোদের তরে কৃপা করে বসে আছি বিরলে আমি যতন করে পারের তরি মেধেছি ভবের কুলে আমি যতন করে পারের করি মেধেছি ভবের কুলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে এসেছে নূতন মানুষ দেখবি যদি আয় চলে
Thank you, Shubhavama, for that wonderful song. I next welcome Francis. He is going to speak on Sri Ramakrishna and the path of Bhakti Yoga. Please join me in welcoming Francis.
Pranam Swamijis, Pranam devotees, my fellow devotees. I have a confession to make. I came to Vedanta because I was excited about knowledge. And I read a little bit about Shankara and I said, I belong here. So I came to Vedanta. A few years down the line, I started realizing it's not all about Shankara. It's about love, devotion. And so I chose to speak a little bit on Sri Ramakrishna's love and devotion. And I'll start by mentioning that in the book, Bhakti Schools of Vedanta, I'm sure some of you have read it. It was written by Swami Tapasyananda. And in it, he gave a description or a definition of Bhakti. And I'd like to read just a couple of them for you. He says, Bhakti, the path of love and devotion, is a firm, ceaseless, and unshakable love of God. It's also an unbroken, continuous remembrance of God. Also, it involves serving God, worshiping God in your fellow man. Above all, you have to give it everything: your body, your mind, and your soul. Jesus Christ was asked by one of the Pharisees during his teachings to give them the number one commandment in the law. And Jesus said, love God with all your mind, your soul, and your body. He was referencing yoga. So, love and devotion can be the source or the anchor of any yoga, whether it's Jnana, Raja, or Karma Yoga, any of them. If you don't have love and devotion for God and your fellow man, you cannot master any of the other yogas. It doesn't work. And Swami Nikhilananda, in writing about Sri Ramakrishna and Bhakti, mentioned that Sri Ramakrishna took Mother Kali as the divine, the only reality, the only thing that matters in creation. And Sri Ramakrishna, having become a priest in the Kali temple, decided to forget about all the rituals as a Brahmin. He forgot them and decided to focus entirely on the mother. He went to seclusion, he was meditating all night, he wasn't listening to anybody, he wasn't eating, he wasn't even sleeping, and people thought he was mad. He himself thought he was mad at some time. And the story goes that he was so disappointed that mother would not reveal herself, that at some point there was a sword in the corner in the Kali temple. He decided he was going to kill himself. He reached out, grabbed the sword to kill himself. Boom! Mother Kali reveals herself in real life. He went into samadhi and passed out unconscious. He described what he saw in the gospel, so you can read from there. What does this mean? It means that the life of Sri Ramakrishna was all about bhakti. He singularly, and probably Vivekananda, put together Jnana and Bhakti. And I have a few things here that I want to read regarding Sri Ramakrishna and Bhakti. Number one, longing is the very essence of spiritual life. You have to have undivided, devoted desire for God. That's the starting point. If you don't have desire or longing for God, you will not see God. So Ramakrishna says, longing is the very essence of spiritual life. Yearning is all you need in order to realize Him. Through yearning, the mind becomes concentrated on God. Cry to the Lord with an intense yearning in the heart, and you will certainly see Him. He went on to say, God is the beloved in many forms. We just heard about Christianity and Islam. So many paths, and he said it clearly. As many faiths, so many paths. Bhakti is not confined to one tradition or one conception of God. They all lead to the same realization of the divine. He also said a few things about knowledge and bhakti. Shankara will not be happy to hear the two put together, but Sri Ramakrishna did, and Vivekananda followed. And this is what he said. Knowledge and love of God are ultimately one. He who knows God loves God, and he who loves God knows Him. The two come together. You cannot love God without knowledge. And if you have knowledge, that's the love of God. Finally, he advises on balancing worldly life with devotion. He said, be in the world, but not of the world. Jesus said the same. Perform your duties, but keep your mind on God. Therefore, bhakti is not escapism, is a transformation. All the ordinary duties of life become offerings to God. Love for family and society becomes purified when it is grounded in devotion. Devotion to the divine who dwells in all of us. Jesus said, as a second part, when he was asked about the law, he said, love God with all your mind, your soul, and your body. And love your neighbor as yourself. So in doing service to our fellow men and women and all beings, we are seeking God. Finally, Sri Ramakrishna's teachings remind us that Bhakti Yoga, the path of love and devotion, is not a secondary path meant only for the simple-hearted or the simple-minded. It is a profound spiritual discipline capable of leading the seeker to the highest realization. By following his teachings, we too can walk the path he demonstrated with our lives. Jai Guru.
Thank you, Francis, for that wonderful speech on the need for bhakti, the need for love in all the yogas. Next speaker is Sarala, and she will very appropriately be giving a speech on the importance of innocence in true spiritual practice. Those of you who know an Indian language will know that Sarala, her name, means childlike innocence, simplicity. So please join me in welcoming Sarala.
Thank you, Swami Madhananda. Better?
I hope so.
Yes? Okay. The Paramahamsa is like a 5-year-old child. He sees everything filled with consciousness. The Paramahamsa is like a child. He cannot distinguish between a stranger and a relative. The Paramahamsa is like a child. He doesn't keep any track of his whereabouts. He sees everything as Brahman. He is indifferent to his own movements. Pranams and salutations, dear Swami Madhananda. The one left. Fellow devotees and all those who are here with us in spirit. Jai Ma, Jai Sri Ramakrishna, and Jai Mahendra. A deep bow to this Trinity for giving us the gift of the gospel, where we can weave the wisdom and the guidance into our daily spiritual practice. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here today and to be graced with the opportunity to share some reflections on the teachings of our beloved Sri Ramakrishna. About 2 years ago, I was introduced to the gospel by a reverend teacher, Reverend Zoe Inman, and in studying the gospel, the first thing she imparted was to not focus on trying to understand our beloved Thakur, rather to let the writings come in as they do, to keep an open mind and heart, and let things be revealed as they may in all due time. And this in itself has been the inspiration for the journey throughout, and also for the topic today, the importance of innocence in true spiritual practice. So let's begin with innocence. What's astonishing is that throughout the gospel, Thakur's childlike spirit is so palpable. Like his experience as a young boy, being so awestruck by the electric contrast of the dark skies and a flock of white cranes, that he went into his first spiritual ecstasy, like a child immersed in pure wonder. Thakur's restless fervor in his longing for the Divine Mother, in exemplifying his utmost devotion to Ma Kali, is where his childlike spirit cannot be overlooked. Weeping and calling out to her like a child seeking its mother, wanting to be close to her, dedicated to worshiping her with the utmost love, feeding her with such care, and not to mention being so humbly engaged in Ma's Leela. The fact that the very incarnation of God devotes himself to that he is, demonstrates the deep humility and playfulness Sri Ramakrishna embodied in his spiritual practice. It's innocence. So speaking of innocence, it's speaking to the quality of innocence, the essence of children who unapologetically move through a range of emotions and situations, yet are very attentive listeners, are constantly learning, and being so present in engaging with whatever is happening in front of them. Sri Ramakrishna interaction with Vishvambar's daughter demonstrates and showcases this quality beautifully. She saluted him, although he didn't acknowledge it, and she called him out on it. And instead of him getting upset or irritated or scolding the child, he opened up to the moment with such sweetness. The child to the master, "I saluted you and you didn't even notice it." Master smiling, "Did you? I really didn't notice." Child, then wait, I want to salute you again, and the other foot too. Sri Ramakrishna laughed and sat down. He returned the salute and bowed to the child, touching the ground with his forehead. In asking a question and receiving the answer given with full acceptance, on his way to meet Vidyasagar, Sri Ramakrishna again demonstrated innocence. As the master walked to the house, he said to M like a child, pointing to his shirt buttons, "My shirt is unbuttoned. Will that offend Vidyasagar?" "Oh no," said M. "Don't be anxious about it. Nothing about you will be offensive. You don't have to button your shirt." He accepted the assurance simply, like a child. And as Sri Ramakrishna lays it out, a child has no attachment. He makes a playhouse, and if anyone touches it, he will jump about and cry. The next moment, he himself will break it. This moment, he may be very much attached to his cloth and say, "My daddy gave it to me, I won't part with it." But the next moment, you can cajole him out of it with a toy. He will go away with you, leaving the cloth behind. So learning to practice innocence and keeping our childlike nature alive cultivates humility, sincere engagement, and attachment whilst being present and playful. So continuing with true spiritual practice is to go beyond prayer, meditation, reading scriptures, and speaking about spiritual matters. These may be an entryway, perhaps the setting of the foundation to move into a deeper practice. True spiritual practice is a living practice where one is devoted to practicing the teachings in day-to-day life, in every moment of the day, in every engagement, to the best of their ability, not divinity, and as they seek their way towards God. It's listening to the direction and guidance from our gurus and spiritual teachers without rebuking to prove a point, to be right, or to dictate what's spoken about in the scriptures with partial understanding or without even having had the direct experience. So why is innocence important in true spiritual practice? It helps us to cultivate humility. It allows us to be present with what's happening in the very moment. It cuts through the seriousness with playfulness and humor. We can be exquisite. That too, we can be exquisite. We can be inquisitive, ask questions, and be open to receiving what comes. And we may even become more open to being perceived as oblivious and gullible. Innocence opens one's listening capacity to deeply listen to the teachings. It helps us to cultivate detachment. And most importantly, it brings us closer to be in relationship with God. The Paramahamsa is like a 5-year-old child. He sees everything filled with consciousness. The Paramahamsa is like a child. He cannot distinguish between a stranger and a relative. The Paramahamsa is like a child. He doesn't keep any track of his whereabouts. He sees everything as Brahman. He is indifferent to his own movements. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Ma!
Thank you, Sharala. In the Gospel, there are a few words in the original Bangla, the Kathamrita, that Sri Ramakrishna used that are very difficult to translate. One of them is Sharalata. That's a term he uses a lot throughout the Kathamrita. Nikhilanji chooses to translate it as guileless. And that is clearly one of the connotations of the words that Sharala clearly beautifully explained. But she also points out that it also has other connotations, childlike innocence, a simplicity. You know, in English, when you say somebody's simple, it's an insult. That means the person's stupid, right? But it's a very great spiritual virtue in Indian spiritual traditions. Calling somebody simple is the greatest compliment. So anyway, thank you so much for that beautiful speech. Next up is Soan. I hope I pronounced that right. Soan. He's speaking on As Many Fades, So Many Paths, a message for a divided age. Please join me in welcoming Soan.
Pranam, good afternoon. In today's world, we see division everywhere. Nations divided by politics, communities divided by faith, even individuals divided within themselves. But over a century ago, Sri Ramakrishna, a simple man from a village near Calcutta, offered a message powerful enough to heal those divisions. His life showed that truth is one, but it can be approached through many different paths. Ramakrishna's genius was that he did not preach tolerance. He did not just preach tolerance, he lived it. As a priest at Dakshineshwar temple, he worshipped the Divine Mother Kali with complete devotion. He didn't stop there. He practiced Islam with sincerity, and he experienced Christ through Christian prayer. His conclusion was not theoretical, it was lived, that all religions at their core lead to the same ultimate reality. As many faiths, so many paths, he said. Think about how radical that is in our time. We often argue over those whose truth is right, whose belief is superior. Ramakrishna would remind us that such quarrels are like blind men arguing over an elephant, each touching only one part, yet convinced they know the whole. His wisdom is timeless because it speaks directly to the challenges of today, the need for harmony without uniformity, unity without erasing diversity. Ramakrishna taught through parables that still resonate in modern life. He said that the human soul is like a needle covered with rust, unable to be drawn to the magnet of God until polished by practice. Isn't that the same today? Surrounded by distractions, social media, and endless busyness, we lose touch with what matters. But when we clear the clutter of our lives, the magnet of truth pulls us naturally back to what is real. Another of his metaphors was the salt doll in the ocean. The doll wanted to measure the sea, but dissolved as soon as it entered, becoming one with the ocean itself. That's a message for us too. In seeking truth, the ego dissolves, and what remains is unity with something vast and infinite. In a society obsessed with self-image, Ramakrishna's life reminds us of the freedom in letting go of the small I. He never told people to abandon life. He compared us to the mother bird who flies out to find food but keeps her heart fixed on her nest. We too can work, earn, raise families, and participate fully in the world while keeping our inner focus on the higher reality. That balance is perhaps more urgent now than ever. Sri Ramakrishna passed away in 1886, but his vision lives on. His disciple, Swami Vivekananda, carried that vision across the world, planting seeds of interfaith respect, inner strength, and universal love. Today, in a world still searching for unity, Ramakrishna's message is not just relevant, it is necessary. So what does Ramakrishna offer us now? He offers the courage to seek truth beyond dogma. He offers the reminder that our differences are only colors of the same light. And he offers the hope that spirituality is not in some distant heaven, but here and now in our daily lives, if we only so choose to see. In a divided world, Ramakrishna's life is a call to unity. In a restless world, his wisdom is a call to peace. And in a world hungry for meaning, his teachings remind us that the divine is already within us, waiting to be realized. Thank you.
Thank you, Soan, for that very relevant and practical speech on the need for overcoming the small I in all paths, whatever the path is. But it's all the paths come to the same thing, which is transcending the small I and realizing the spiritual I, the divine within us all. Sangeeta Ma will now sing a Bengali song, one of my favorites, Ramakrishna Namer Joar. I'm going to read the English translation first, and then we'll welcome her. The tide of Sri Ramakrishna's holy name has come. Come, set your boat afloat upon its waves. Ecstasy and devotion surge and overflow. Hearts cry out in rapture. Ah, what bliss! Lust and greed are drowned, sunk deep in that boundless ocean. The lotus of the heart blossoms, awakening with love and devotion. Fear not, O traveler, if storms rise mid-ocean, if restless senses and passions drag you toward the world. Hold fast to the oar of his sacred name. Row on with steadfast strength. At last, the helmsman, Sri Ramakrishna, will ferry you safely to the eternal shore. Please join me in welcoming Sangitama.
Thank you, Swamiji. My pranam to Ramakrishna Thakur, Sharodama, revered Swamijis, Matajis, and dear fellow devotees. Ramakrishna namer joar hello Ramakrishna namer joar hello ভাসিয়ে দে না তোরি ভাব ভক্তি উথলে ওঠে আহা মোরি মোরি রামকৃষ্ণ নামের জোয়ার এলো কৃষ্ণ নামের জোয়ার এলো ভাসিয়ে দে না তোরি ভাব ভক্তি উথলে ওঠে আহা মোরি মোরি কাম কাঞ্চন ডুবে মোল অথই জলেতে কাম কাঞ্চন ডুবে মোল অথই জলেতে হৃদয় পথ উঠল ফুটে হৃদয় পথ উঠল ফুটে ভক্তি প্রেমেতে ভাব ভক্তি উথলে ওঠে আহা মোরি মোরি তুমি ভয় পেও না মাঝ দরিয়ায় যদি ঝড় ওঠে ঠাকুর গো ও তুমি ভয় পেও না মাঝ দরিয়ায় যদি ঝড় ওঠে যদি ইন্দ্রিয় আর রিপু দল ইন্দ্রিয় আর রিপু দল বিষয় পানে ছোটে ভাব ভক্তি উথলে ওঠে আহা মোরি মোরি নামের হালটি ধরে শক্ত করে বেজাও তরি ঠাকুর গো নামের হালটি ধরে শক্ত করে বেজাও তরি শেষে ভবের পারে নিয়ে যাবে ভবের পারে নিয়ে যাবে রামকৃষ্ণ কান্ডারি ভাব ভক্তি উথলে ওঠে আহা মোরি মোরি রামকৃষ্ণ নামের জোয়ার এলো, কৃষ্ণ নামের জোয়ার এলো, ভাসিয়ে দে না তরি। ভাব ভক্তি উথলে ওঠে, আহা মরি মরি। ভাব ভক্তি উথলে ওঠে, আহা মরি মরি।
Thank you so much to Shongita Ma. Told you, one of my favorite songs, but it's rarely performed because it's a very difficult song to sing, but she really pulled it off, so thank you. It's no joke. 2 more speeches, and then just give you a heads up. 2 more speeches, followed by a guided meditation, and then a closing song, and then we'll wrap it up. So, next up is Geeta Stevens. She will be speaking on the result of Bhavamuka. Please join me in welcoming Geeta.
Jai Ramakrishna. The result of Bhavamuka. The part of Thakur Ramakrishna's message that I love the most happens to be his new teachings. Avatars come to uplift humanity. By definition, they bring something new, revive what was lost or little known, and reinforce what is needed. Reading the divine play, I noticed that Divine Mother telling Thakur to stay in Bhavamuka is what led to his new and most significant teachings. It basically says, when the Master's eye consciousness was completely dissolved, he dwelt in the absolute or nirguna aspect of the Divine Mother. And when he experienced the saguna cosmic eye, he saw that what is Brahman is Shakti. What is truly nirguna is called saguna when in play. After he had experienced this full vision of the Divine Mother with her manifest and unmanifest aspects, he received the command, remain in Bhavamuka. That is to say, do not stay in non-dual Brahman with the I dissolved or totally in the manifest world, but on the threshold between the two. What is this state between Nirguna Brahman and Shakti's play? How can one stay there when they are 2 different paths, viewpoints, or paradigms? Also, Thakur told us that the most mature state is where one goes back and forth between those 2, Nitya and Lila, slipping into one and then the other. This and Bhavamuka are very high states of complete acceptance. Thakur's profound faith in Mother's command led him to accept the paradigms as equally valid and transcend the apparent contradiction of Bhavamuka. And these were expanded into yet another paradigm, Vijnana. This comprehensive perspective was not attained merely by his union with non-dual Brahman, but rather by remaining in Bhavamuka, where he saw that pure consciousness and divine power are one reality manifesting as many. The nirguna is only accessible from the samadhi beyond duality, beyond mind, ego, bliss, everything. Holding that experience as the highest state often leads to perceiving creation as unreal upon return. That's one path. However, Thakur indicated that what makes the world unreal is when it is perceived as separate from the divine. Actually, Mother's play is part of her, an expression of her divine will. Since she is real, all creation is real. Bhavamuka is seeing the divine in that real world. Thakur's truly inclusive viewpoint was the direct result of Bhavamuka. Such total acceptance that what is Brahman is Shakti playing through everything became the basis of most of his new and revived tenets, like all types of yoga and spiritual paths are valid and are equally liberating. Everyone should choose their individual path according to their personal temperament. Bhakti path is the easiest and quickest, yet can directly give Brahmagyana. Being a child of Divine Mother is a natural and fulfilling way to love God. Then, with the purified, mature ego of a child or servant of the divine, the ego is transformed and does not feel like it is the doer. That leads to seeing all living beings and everything as embodiment of Divine Mother's consciousness. And it leads to surrender, wanting to become her instrument with her will guiding and working through us so we make no false steps. Then there is no reason to stop practicing karma yoga or serving God through humanity. But until reaching that point, following the Guru's guidance regarding spiritual effort, like doing japa, going inward in meditation, renouncing, etc., is necessary to overcome worldly attachments and to stop being forgetful of God in a life of ignorance, avidya maya. However, because Maya falls within Shakti's domain, Thakur also said that one can seek her grace to dispel avidya. Divine Mother can change her rules, so does so, particularly for her own. After realization, you can go outward and see her everywhere. That is living in the realm of Vidyamaya, where Thakur conversed with and saw the divine with open eyes. That's Vijnana. Ramakrishna introduced this incredible paradigm and lived his life as the example to be followed. We are his children and heir to his fortune. If we hold on to that as our goal for as long as it takes, that will be our reality also. My desire and prayer is to want nothing else. Jai Ma. Jai Krishna.
Thank you, Gita Ma, for that brilliant speech on one of the most unique spiritual experiences of Sri Ramakrishna, called Bhavamuka, otherwise known as Vijnana. And you see why her name is Gita. She's one of my best Gita students, actually. I assign homework, so a bunch of study questions. Mahayaganji is about to leave for Germany. Jai Ma. Durga, Durga. All right. So I was saying that when I assign the homework, Gita always gives me the longest responses. She compares 6, 7, 8 different commentaries on the verses. Very impressive. Anyway, we're going to conclude the program with a final song. Amitji will be singing a Bengali song, another one of my favorites. I got 2 favorite songs in one program, so I'm happy about that. And I swear I didn't ask them, but they, Je Trisha Jagile, composed by Swami Purnatmanandaji, the head of our Dhaka Center in Bangladesh, and set to music by Swami Balabhadranandaji, one of our assistant general secretaries who was here last year. Some of you might have met him. It's a beautiful song. I'm going to read the English translation, and then we'll welcome him. The desire which makes thee lost from me, don't rouse that desire in me. The love which makes me forget thee, don't lure me with that love. The lamp of knowledge which hides thee, don't light that lamp in me. The pain, the suffering that makes me gain thee, don't steal that pain from me. The vision which separates thee from me, don't give me that vision. The comfort which makes me forget thee, don't flood me with that ocean of comfort. The story which does not talk of thee, don't make me listen to those stories. The tears which make me gain thee, don't wipe away that flow of tears. the love which makes me forget thee. Don't lure me with that love. Please join me in welcoming Amitji.
जितृषा जगिले तोमारे हाराबो श्रीतृषाय आमार जगियो ना जितृषा जगिले तोमारे हाराबो श्रीतृषाय आमार जगायो ना जे भालोबासाय तोमारे भूलिब जे भालोबासाय तोमारे भूलिब से भालोबासाय भुलायो ना जितृषा जागिले तोमारे हाराबो से तृषाय आमार जगायो ना जे ज्ञानेर दीप तोमारे लुकाय से ज्ञानेर दीप জ্বালায়ো না যে জ্ঞানের দীপ তোমারে লুকায় সে জ্ঞানের দীপ জ্বালায়ো না যে যাতনা পেলে তোমারে লোভিব সে যাতনা মোর হরিও না যে নেশায় আমার তোমা ছাড়া করে সে নেশায় আমার জাগায়ো না যে নেশায় আমার তোমা ছাড়া করে সে নেশায় আমার জাগায়ো না যে সুখ লোভিলে তোমারে ভুলিব সে সুখ সাগরে ভাসায় না যে সুখ লোভিলে তোমারে ভুলিব সে সুখ সাগরে ভাসায় না যে কথার মাঝে তব কথা নাই সে কথা আমারে শোনায় না যে কথার মাঝে তব কথা নাই সে কথা আমারে শোনায় না যে আখি ঝরিলে তোমার লোভিব সে আখির ধারা মুছায় না যে আখি ঝরিলে তোমার লোভিব সে আখির ধারা মুছায় না যে তৃষা জাগিলে তোমারে হারাবো সে তৃষায় আমার জাগায় না যে ভালোবাসায় তোমারে ভুলিব যে ভালোবাসায় তোমারে ভুলিব সে ভালোবাসায় ভুলায় না যে তৃষা জাগিলে তোমারে হারাবো সে তৃষায় আমার জাগায় না।
Thank you, Amitji, for that beautiful song. A wonderful way to close this really amazing program. As you can tell, everybody who participated in the program worked tremendously hard for many days and weeks to practice the chanting, the songs, prepare the speeches, the guided meditation. So let's give a big round of applause to everybody who participated in the program. Now, I'm sure some of us are hungry and tired, and so we have refreshments in the White House, I hope. So they should be right there. And at 6 o'clock, we have evening arati as usual. And that's followed by meditation here. And at 7 o'clock, we cordially invite all of you, because we have a lot of leftovers, delicious leftovers from lunch prasad today. So at 7 o'clock, you can join us for dinner prasad as well. Okay? All right. Thank you so much. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.